everybody, welcome back to our New York homestead. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the best homemade pumpkin pie from scratch. So starting out, you are going to have to get some fresh pumpkins. I got these ones from a local farm. They are sugar pumpkins. You cannot use the regular jack-o'-lantern carving pumpkins for this recipe. They do not cook the same. These pumpkins are a lot sweeter. So once I have my pumpkins, I'm going to cut off the tops, cut them in half, and then just take out the seeds and all the insides the way you normally would for carving a pumpkin. You can save the seeds and toast them up if you would like, but I'm just putting them in a bowl to compost. And then once I have my pumpkins all cut up, I'm going to put them on a pan with a little bit of olive oil and a touch of salt and roast them at about 375 for about 45 minutes to an hour until they get nice and soft. Once they cool down, I peel the skins off of the pumpkins. It comes off super easy once they're nice and soft. I put everything into the food processor with a little bit of water and blend it up until it is nice and smooth. Just make sure you do not add too much water. You still want this decently thick, the same way that you would get it from the grocery store in a can. And once you have your pumpkin, you can go ahead and get started on your crust. I don't believe this crust recipe is one that I have shared before, so it'll be linked down below in the comments, but you just need some flour, butter, ice water, a little bit of salt, and my original recipe calls for vegetable oil, but I have not been using vegetable oil at all lately. I have been replacing it with coconut oil, and coconut oil works just as well as the vegetable oil did. So you can sub out vegetable oil for coconut oil if you prefer, or you can just use regular Crisco if that is what you have at home. I put all of the ingredients except for the water in the food processor, blitz it up until it is a light crumb, and then I add my water 1 tablespoon at a time until it begins to come together. Just make sure you don't overwork this too much. As soon as the dough starts to take shape, you can stop and put everything into a ball with your hands, put it in the fridge with some plastic wrap while we get the rest of our pie filling situated. I will have the recipe for the pie filling I'm using down below in the description box, but you are going to need about 2 cups of pumpkin, 3 eggs, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. I always use homemade. I think it tastes the best. The recipe I used also called for 1 cup of heavy cream. I didn't have any heavy cream, so I did 1 cup of half and half instead. A little bit of vanilla, and then cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice. I do not have pumpkin pie spice, but nutmeg, ginger, allspice, cinnamon, all of that makes your pumpkin pie spice. So I did about a teaspoon or so of cinnamon, and then a half a teaspoon of allspice, nutmeg, and then I think I did about 1/4 of a teaspoon of ginger. I just eyeballed, estimated. I know I like my pies a little spicier, so I wasn't too worried about how much I added. I just went by eyeballing and what taste I thought would be the best. And once you have that all mixed together, you can put this to the side and you can get your homemade pie crust ready. I rolled this out and I had just enough to cover all the way to the edges. I like to make a really pretty edge for my pie crusts. You can do whatever works out best for you, but I'm showing you here also how I like to just round my edges out and make them, it looks like to me, a little bit of a sun or a sunflower. You kind of just push the dough in between your pointer finger and thumb and use your opposite thumb to push into the little triangle that your pointer finger and thumb makes, and then you can get your little triangle or your little pointed edge out of the dough that way. I then go back through and sort of pinch the points on either end of the dough, the inner dough and then the outer dough that hits the edge, just to make it a little bit more sharp and pretty. This is totally just a pretty design. You do not have to make your dough look like this. You can just roll it on over onto the pie pan and then just cut off the excess, but I wanted to make it a little bit pretty. I did have a little bit of extra dough that I rolled out and used my super cute little leaf cutters that my best friend got for me, and I used that little bit of extra dough and then just put it all throughout the actual pie filling once I had it in the pie pan. I will also note that I did not pre-bake my pie crust at all. I had my raw dough and then I put in all of the batter and cooked it all in the oven all at the same time. The crust got nice and light and golden brown and everything was cooked thoroughly underneath. Once you have your filling in your pie pan, and if you so choose, any extra cute little toppings that you want to put on top of the pie crust, put it in the oven for probably about 30 minutes or so at 350. I always just keep an eye on everything. You want to make sure that your inside is not jiggling. You will see too in the final product here that I have a couple of spear marks inside of my pie. That was just to test it to make sure that no big liquidy chunks were coming out. And that is it. That is how you make a homemade pumpkin pie from scratch. Scratch dough, scratch filling. This was super tasty and very gingery. I loved this so much. This would be perfect to bring to Thanksgiving or for Christmas for the holiday season. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. I make new videos every single week on all things homemaking, sourdough, and country living, and I will catch you in my next video.